Hello, students, parents, and my dear viewers. A very warm welcome to EDUPATH, the journey of success, brought to you by Expert Group of Institutions Alumni Association. Dear viewers, a very happy Valentine's Day to you all. You must be wondering, this being an educational program for students, why am I wishing on a day which symbolizes love? Yes, definitely. Love is a purest form of emotions. And when we speak about love, definitely whom we can associate, that's nothing but Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna, let it be his love for Radha, or maybe for cows, or foremost is nothing but his love for Bansuri, that is flute. Yes, definitely flute is synonym for Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna is synonym for love. So, on this very special day of Valentine's Day, I feel that we need to introduce you to the melody or the love hidden behind the melody of Bansuri. And we have my today's guest, the greatest eminent flute artist of our country, or we can say that he's the pride of Karnataka, who is none other than Surumani Pandit Pravin Godkhindi. Welcome you, Pravinji, for this great show for us, and very nice to
Thank
have
you.
you here.
Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure for me talking to you. And thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, I would really take this opportunity to introduce you to our viewers. Of course, I know that everybody in Karnataka or everybody in India or even maybe outside India, they know about you. But we say that it's my duty to introduce you to them. So let me take this pleasure. Pravin Godkhindi started toying with a small flute at the age of 3 years and gave his first public performance when he was 6 years old. His gurus are his father, Pandit Venkatesh Godkhindi, and renowned percussionist Vidwan Anur Anantakrishna Sharma. He is the first Indian to perform on the 8 feet contrabass flute. A top ranked artist by the All India Radio, he was the first Indian to represent Bansuri at the World Flute Festival held in Argentina. He has received national awards for film Beru and Vimukti. He is also a brand ambassador for AKG microphones and is the recipient of several awards. Besides having performed all over the world with the other eminent musicians, he holds a BA degree in electrical and electronics engineering with distinction. So, welcome you again. Let me yeah, let us start with your childhood. Yes, you are a celebrity today, but everybody is interested always knowing how a child would be, because now celebrity life we know, but as a child, how was your childhood? And at the same time, I like to tell my viewers, you can ask a question to Pandit Pravin Godkhindi ji directly by WhatsApping to us by the number what you can see on your screen, that is 8296490168. So, anyways, we'll wait for the question. Till then, you can tell me how was your childhood? What was special, or whether it was ordinary? What was it?
Yeah, my childhood was quite normal that way, except for the fact that I was always surrounded by the music, by
Okay.
Hindustani classical music, by because my father and my guru, Pandit Venkatesh Godkhindi ji, was always either practicing, teaching, or composing.
Mm.
So I was always surrounded. Even before I was born, I knew I was surrounded by the beauty of music.
Mm.
So at a very young age, I was introduced to both flute and tabla, and
Yeah.
then I chose flute. My father gave me the flute, and he said, uh, "Start playing something. Start toying with it." So that's how I picked up the flute and started playing some songs and some small bhajans and
Okay.
uh, So that's how my journey started, and then it became an obsession, a passion, because at that point when I was a small kid, what fascinated me was that the people around me made me feel special, because I was the only one who could play the flute. So I always, even I used to carry my flute in my bag to this,
Yeah.
to impress my friends and teachers.
Okay. Classmates. What about classmates? Yeah,
Ah, yeah.
definitely.
So
Yeah.
I
Uh,
always loved the adulation, the warmth and the friendship that I got from my mates and my teachers as well. So I always cherished that.
Yeah, though, see, in your biodata, it's written that you started toying with the flute at the age of 3. But always there is something when we understand that, okay, this is the formal training which has started to be, or from your father's side, it is at what it actually the formally, very seriously, you started practicing, or he started taking lessons for you.
See, when I performed for the first time when I was around 6 years,
Hmm.
that's when he had already taught me two ragas, Amsadhwani and
Okay.
Bhog. So I would say at around 4 or 5 is when to notes, ragas, and the basic concepts of classical music. But then that continued for a long time, till I was 10, 12. And then I was, I really got hooked on to this music, because many musicians, stay with us. Reputed musicians from Dharwad, like Pandit Madhav Gudiji, and some musicians like Pandit Ajay Pavankar, and these people used to come and live with us whenever they used to tour. So I used to have direct interaction with these majors, and then I understood, how deep it is and how fascinating it is. So, and I got an opportunity to listen to all the legendary musicians live, because my father, so we lived
Yeah.
in Goa for some time. We lived in Hyderabad for some time. We lived in Delhi for some time. So all throughout my childhood, I was exposed to the best of best musicians, and
Okay.
that helped me, focus towards the art. And per se, if you ask me, the rigorous riyaz and
Yeah.
the proper talim and everything, that began when I was in my 10th standard.
Okay.
And from there on, it took a very serious turn.
Yeah.
Basically, because for a flutist, you need to develop your lungs. You need to hold the breath
But
for a long time, because you have to
But
match
I
the
feel that
shruti.
this is a very, very important thing what you said, that you started rigorous the practice, or that is what you call it as riyas or talim, that is the from your guru's side, when you were in 10th standard maybe. Okay, this is
Yeah.
something which is very, very, because now most of them, our students are watching you. I've seen that students leave music when they come to 10th standard. They start.
Yeah.
No, really, because most of the students, they leave their music at the age of, I mean, when they come to 10th standard. Say by chance they have continued that, definitely they will leave when they come to PUC. Okay, because yeah, so
Yes.
definitely that is my very interest to know. So about that, I'll ask you a little later. But I wanted to know, because as we are speaking later, it will be only about flute, and I want you to play flute also. But as I know your father, actually, I met him, I heard him. His vocal concert as well as flute. Maybe he was
Yeah.
the only one who could perform both form in the equal depth, because there are people who will take
Absolutely.
one essay, you also may be singing, but at the end, if anybody asks you what you are, maybe answer is you're a flautist. Okay, but about your father, when I heard him for the first time, it was really difficult to tell whether he is a flautist or is a vocalist. So that extent he had, that was his specialty. So you are in that kind of atmosphere where your father is both vocalist as well as flautist, as well as you took up tabla also. In the introduction, we have seen you playing a photo with the tabla. And your brother Kiran Godkhindi ji is playing tabla with you and with others. So he's also good artist. So what was that made Pravin as a young boy to get into flute directly, not to take other things as a mainstream? You want to get into, so what is that made you to take flute as the mainstream instrument or music?
Flute, as I told you, from the beginning of childhood, it was always my companion, and somehow by the grace of God and because of my father's blessings, I would pick difficult ragas, difficult compositions very easily, and was able to manage to play on the flute very fluently at a very young age.
Mm.
So that encouraged my father to train me in flute.
Okay.
At a point of there was a point of time when my brother Kiran tabla, but at a
Oh.
point he felt that my swaratnyan is slightly better. My grasping sur is slightly better. So he said, "We'll shift. But you can focus on flute." And then it just stuck. The once the flute came into my hand, then I myself decided that I'll devote a lot of time to flute, and I just
Hmm.
as it happens with all the children, I was also very active in cricket. During my school days, I used to spend a lot of time for cricket.
Hmm.
Um, so I almost got selected for Hyderabad team under 16. I was playing for
Oh.
school, and uh, I got selected there.
Hmm.
Then one bad incident, like I dived to take a catch and I broke my collarbone,
Oh.
and thereafter even realized that I had broken my collarbone. I completed the match, and later on, after a few weeks, I had bronchitis. Or doctor asked me to get an X-ray done. That's
Hmm.
when my father realized that I had a collarbone fracture, and it had automatically got healed on its own. So from that point, my father said, "No, no, let's not take this risk. No more cricket for you," because his point of view was there would be many cricketers
Hmm.
in your class. Almost everybody plays
Hmm.
cricket, but you are the only one in the entire school who can play the flute. You want to let
Hmm.
go of that talent? Kind of stuck to me, and then that's when I decided that I'll take up flute as my main passion. But that didn't mean that it was going to be my profession until I finished my degree.
Okay.
So that,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So that means now, see, in your life, the decision, it's not only it's you took that decision, maybe even your father and your guru influenced you. So you mean to say that parents' guidance and gurus, that understanding that you are good in what, that made difference in your life?
definitely. That proper guidance helped me focus at a very young age, because it's very easy, even now or back then, it was very easy to get out of focus, or get diverted to something else. I was good, so but still, what my father said made a lot of sense. On that you few musicians who can play the flute,
Hmm.
but you can
Hmm.
be one among thousands who can play the flute. The same logic he applied when I when I finished my engineering, and I
Hmm.
was in search of an IT job, and
Hmm.
the same question came: should I continue as an engineer, or should I continue as a flautist?
Hmm.
So when we had a discussion, then again we came up with this answer that there might be several engineers in India,
Hmm.
but a very handful of flutists in India.
Yeah.
That kind of a thinking, when a person whom you look up to, whether it's your guru
Hmm.
or your father. In my case, it was the same. Both two in
Yeah.
one. My father, my guru.
Yeah.
So he
This
was
is
there always to
actually,
back.
Yeah, I have a question about being a father and guru as one person. But before that, can we listen to, because as it is, I say, you are here and without music, we just speak. Definitely nobody will appreciate that. So let's give one beautiful meaning for this interview. So can you play for us?
Sure. I'll just play a small alap of Hamsadhwani.
Okay. Wow, beautiful. I feel it is. We should go on with it. But anyways, we'll definitely will make you play more and more. What see in a child's life, which is the happiest moment? You ask with any grown up, they will tell that it is they remember childhood, the long bell of their school. Because when that last long bell of the school is a very happy for every child. Okay.
True.
Yeah, why? Because they'll be going home, all the studies behind, everybody, teacher, everyone far from us and far from them. And when they reach home, it is their father, mother, their siblings, and that's the fun. But for you, when you reach home, again, you had a teacher there who will make you sit for the class, who will give you talim, who will give you training. So, how was, okay, now you understand, but how was that feel as a kid? I'm talking about that kid, Pravin.
Yeah, for me, I used to look forward to these evenings. I used to come back from office because he always used to have a lot of stories about music, about compositions, about a recording that he has composed, and the best part was he had a lot of students come to learn from him, and he would sit and teach, these um, somewhere very quite old, 50s, 60s, and I was just a kid, and I used to be doing my homework once I come back from my school. The regular thing was just to have finish your meal and then finish your homework, and then you're free for the evening, whether I decide to play cricket or attend music, whatever. During those sessions when I'm doing my homework and my father is doing the classes, I one part of my brain was always there. I was solving problems. My brain was always there, and he would ask a question, and the entire class would be silent. I would the answer. Can I answer? So I they, even in the music class, I was like a very important person there, And if my father had some work, if he had to go out, I used to substitute. I used to sit there and forward. I used to tell them, you can do this, and so that that sense of being important in a society is is always fascinating for any age. And being a kid, I was really pampered, and everybody, the older men used to say, हमें आपके पिताजी से डर लगता है, ज्यादा नहीं डर नहीं लगता, तुमसे डर लगता है because you are very strict. Your father, he says, even if one Murki doesn't come, he says, okay, okay, continue. But you don't. You stop us and you make us play that 8 times, 10 times till we get it right. Okay. So that was the kind of atmosphere that I grew up in. Okay. So but it was fun. Music, learning newer things, trying, accepting challenges. There were several things that my father used to do as a guru. Before leaving to the office, while dropping to my school, he would say, I give you a homework. When I come back, you should tell me the alankars of Yaman, different alankars of Yaman, whatever you can think in Nirega Madanisa, Sanidapa Magaresa. So such small things, those challenges really helped me focus and learn. And I used to ask the same challenges to the other students. And when they couldn't answer, I used to feel good. I know and they don't know. That kind of a thing. Okay. That's how I grew up. But they say that for every coin there are two phases. So when your guru and father, what was the advantage and what was the disadvantage? Well, luckily for me, my father was very, very broad-minded. Unlike most of the classical gurus, there were no limitations or restrictions on for me as far as listening to forms of music, uh, and uh, and he was open to discussions, and he was a very soft, very mild at heart. So there were very few occasions when he would really be agitated, angered, or it was always very smooth going, and he was always happy. And he used to correct also in a very sophisticated way. He wouldn't get angry and if I play something wrong or something. So as a guru, he was a very very friendly guru that way. As a person also, he was like that. The people who have worked with him, even today they remember him as a very kind-hearted and very soft, nice gentleman, because he never hurt anybody. So he always was very kind and generous while teaching. But your say your father's other students, whether any time they used to feel that you are getting the advantage of being Pravin Pandit Godkhindi's son? Yeah. That is inevitable. The same thing holds good to Shadaj also. Yeah. When teaching so many other students, and Shadaj was a very small kid. He was a toddler. History, it Correct. Repeated itself. I could see myself in Shadaj. He would do the same thing in the music class. He would be listening to my father very with rapt attention, and he was very fast in learning. Yeah. The grasping was no, because I feel that it's always I have seen Shadaj from his maybe birth. Okay, so for viewers, I want to tell that Shadaj Godkhindi is a son of Pandit Pravin Godkhindi ji. So very, very, very good upcoming flautist of India. And I've seen him from birth, and I've seen him how he has grown up with the flute, and I've seen him his concert as a really a small child. But and he is definitely better than many of them in the country. So, but somewhere people will feel that, okay, because he is Pravin Godkhindi's son, he is getting that chance. Or maybe it is when you were young, it is just because you are Venkatesh Godkhindi's son. So maybe whether that feel of society or from your own peer group, whether you had that kind of feel any time. See, luckily, most of the people who would, at least in front of me or in front of Shudders, they always encourage, because I have realized one thing, that is truly a divine blessing. Okay. It is not something that you can just snatch away from somebody. You can't just overnight you can't become
Yeah.
a
Your
musician.
surname will not give you music.
No,
That's
it won't. It won't. Yeah. So because we have seen so many people, the legendary musicians, their sons, their daughters are they have not been able to live up to those expectations. So even my father, he always used to say, you learn the basics, right? You learn the art and do the siddhi. Siddhi modlu prasiddhi adage. That was
mm,
what he used to say.
wow.
So you
Mm,
toil, you do a lot of riyas, you put in 100% effort, you dedicate yourself to the art,
mm,
and what happens, what comes out of it is in the Almighty's hand.
mm,
It's a combination of so many things. Just because a person is someone's son, maybe one or two, it's again like the famous discussion that keeps on happening about nepotism.
yeah.
I personally believe that maybe a couple of concerts, or maybe a couple of albums, or whatever way
Mm,
the father or the guru can help, he can. But then, if the spark is not there, then the student won't progress
yeah.
to the extent that people think he would. So, but luckily for us, it was always homogeneous.
Mm,
Everybody, like, they were supportive, and they were very happy that an extraordinary talent is we are a talent, growing in front of our
yeah.
eyes.
Mm,
So all the students fraternity of my father, and even my students now, they're all very supportive
yeah.
that way.
So
Yeah,
definitely we'll speak about your challenges, the difficulties what you have seen, because people say that any kind of success will not come free. But I feel
yeah,
that before that, I need to know about your when you were in engineering college or in PU college. We'll speak about that also, just because see, we have finished now your first part of your interview where your childhood and your relation with your father, your guru. And also we learned about the next generation, that is Shadaj. So anyways, before we
yeah.
get into your time of youth, can we listen to you once again?
Sure. That was an evening rag Madhuvanti.
Was it Madhuvanti?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
correct.
Yeah. Uh, See, you were born into a musician family, that is where your father was flautist and vocalist too. And I've seen most of the children who are born into musical family, they usually do not take up science because science will definitely, just like music, this is another field which will ask for your time and dedication. So it's rarely people from music family take up science. So what was that brave step to take up science? Uh, and you did your
Yeah,
engineering also, that is electrical and electronics, considered to be actually one of the toughest branches of engineering. So what is that made you to take up first of all science and then you took up engineering? uh, you weren't sure that you're going to be a full-time artist?
yeah. See, I told you when I seriously started the Riyaz with the proper E-based flute, the big flute, when I was in 10th. So by that time, I was exposed to all these legendary maestros. I had heard of Pandit Ravi Shankar live. I heard many concerts of Pandit Bhimsen Joshi ji, Shivkumar Sharma ji, Zakir Hussain ji, and all of them. So the music had influenced, and somewhere at the back of my mind, I always wanted to be a flautist. But then my father, then we got transferred to Delhi, and then again there, I was exposed to more live concerts, and my interest in newer ragas, newer compositions, the laikari, and the deeper aspects of classical music. They all influenced me, and I started spending a lot of time with flute. At that point of time, I told my father, I will be in Delhi playing the flute.
Hmm.
You people got transferred back to Mangalore then.
Hmm.
And I said, I'm not coming to Bangalore. Delhi, I have liked Delhi. I have made, I know a few people in the studios, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of scope here, and I just want to be me here. I will survive somehow.
Okay.
So I was very adamant then. That
Hmm.
was the time, 11th and 12th. My dad said, nothing doing. You finish your 12th, and then you're coming back with me. We'll go to Karnataka, either in Mangalore or
Hmm.
wherever. You have to finish a degree. He never said
Okay.
engineering. But during my schooling, I was always in the top three
Okay.
in the
Hmm.
class, either second or third or first sometimes. And my marks were always good. I was good at academics. So he said, you are a bright
Hmm.
student and it won't be difficult for you to think. As a parent, that's where the father
Hmm.
picture came in. Uh, it is my duty that I should see that you're educated first. You complete a degree, basic degree, then you decide what you want to do. So till that point of time, I will be controlling
Hmm.
your life. Great disappointment. I came to Mangalore, and then we met Virendra Hegde ji.
Hmm.
He happened to hear one of our concerts, and my father said he wants to do a degree somewhere here. So we are, why doesn't he do engineering in Dharwad, our own college, STM?
Okay.
Let him. So that's how I shifted to Dharwad to do. I initially joined civil, and
Hmm.
after the 2 semesters, I got an opportunity to choose.
Okay.
And electrical and electronics was a very new
Branch.
semester. It
Yeah.
was a new branch, and we have just started the semester scheme. So there it. But throughout that engineering period of 4 years,
Hmm.
that really helped me in two ways. The one thing that I was in Harvard at that point of time,
Hmm.
I was always surrounded by wonderful musicians.
Okay.
All these Dharwad, typical Dharwad, Kirana Gharana, Gwalior, and all those musicians. I could listen to them live.
Hmm.
Pandit Venkatesh Kumar ji, Gangubai ji was
Hmm.
there, and all their students, and all my now who are my colleagues, even Rafiq Bhai, Shafiq Bhai, and many of them, we used to meet up, discuss, listen to each other, and there were a lot of these all-night Punyatiti
Hmm.
Karikrama, programs happen. So in one aspect, I was concentrating on my engineering, and I was also gaining a lot of experiences through these concepts. So at that point of time, I had a
Hmm.
dream. When I started my engineering, that I should finish engineering in the stipulated time. Because engineering, many people used to take 6 years, 7 years to finish the degree.
Hmm.
My goal was that I should finish it in 4 years.
Okay.
in 8 semesters,
Okay.
and with decent marks, and also at the same time, I wanted to have the A grade from
Okay.
Akashvani. Those were my dreams, and my father, he helped me, decide on those. When
But
I was in Delhi,
everything is
I
true.
did my B.
Deciding everything is true. But my interest is when you are studying, how could you manage? Because see, even when you are in PUC, at that time also I said it's very difficult. Children usually leave their music when they come to say first PUC, or if not second PUC. If not, definitely once they go to engineering, they stay in a hostel. They say that we cannot. This one will get disturbed. That one will get disturbed. So they have 100 reasons to leave it. So what was that one reason made you to practice even when you were studying? Okay, and how did you manage
I
it?
was comfortable.
How did you manage it?
Yeah, yeah, it was difficult. It was, I wouldn't say it was a cakewalk. It was definitely very difficult, to complete those project works, attend the labs and all that. But it's something that I would say is not impossible. It takes a lot of effort, but it is possible. And the matinee idol that I had in my mind back then was Pandit Godaditya Mukherjee, who, when I heard his performance in when they read their biodata, they said he is a gold medalist in chemical engineering,
Mm.
ME, Tech.
Mm.
So I was like, and he played a jhinjoti that still is ringing in my ears. That kind of sitar, very very few people can play. So he became a role model for me. If he can do, why can't I? So that was at the back of my mind. And these goals, that I should have a and I should have my degree in my hand, engineering degree, were the only two goals that I was concentrating. So rest all kind of fell in place. There were, times when my lecturers were really upset. They used to say, get a letter from your dad, you'll be thrown out of the college, you'll be rusticated, and of all the, cultural festivals, I used to be there. So I always used to go to the principal's chamber with a letter requesting, give me 4 days leave because I want to compose conduct and I have to travel and all that. So there were a lot of tug of war between the lecturers, but many of them were musically, had a musical sense, and Speak Mackay was very strong back then.
Mm.
So all that helped, and I really had a good set of friends who would do
Motivate you.
proxy for me, I
Yeah,
can say.
I have few
Yeah.
questions from the viewers, so let me take up that also. Rashi
Mhm.
Shetty from Expert actually. So he's
Mm.
telling, good evening, sir. My question is, how do you stay motivated every time to achieve your dreams, and how do you face failure?
For me, back then, as I said, I used to listen to these maestros, and I used to put a challenge to myself that whatever tan or tihai that he has done, or a difficult tan or a difficult pattern, I used to sit and focus only on that. I have to get
Mm.
this. If he has done it, I should be able to do it. So that was vision for me always. When coming to studies, as I mentioned, um, there was Budaditya ji's example, and there were several other musicians who were fight. In one instance, Pandit Rajiv Taranath,
Yeah.
my father and we had met him. Spoke in English. Oh my God, I was totally taken aback. Because it's rare to find the classical musicians back then speak in eloquent English.
Yeah.
I came to know, yeah. So these were the people who I looked up to, and they had managed. They were excellent in their music, very good in the academics as well. So it's only that you have to dedicate and try to focus. And nowadays, I feel the students have much more easier mediums to focus because of the internet. Whatever field you choose, you get to see your peers or your seniors or the legends in the field and try to learn from them. And the best way to begin is to by saying that I don't know this.
Okay.
And saying that I know so much. Always start make a humble beginning saying I don't know this. So that motivates you to say I don't know this, so let me learn. When you have that kind of a mentality, then you end up learning more and more.
Yeah, Sudiksha from Belgaum, she's asking, sir, whether you feel that any time that whether you feel that you wasted your time in education because now you are just a musician.
Definitely wouldn't say that because the engineering that I did now helps me in my music as well. I have my own studio, so I control all my myself. So I do a lot of programming stuff myself and a lot of technology, and I'm tech savvy, so I keep updated about that. That being apart, the engineering course really helped me understand and problem solving stuff and management skills, which are very important even as a musician. Face so many different kinds of situations in our every day to day life that 4 years of rigorous training of different subjects has helped me look at the problems in a different perspective. So that is the reason why I always suggest my young students that education is very important, and never, you don't have to say that education comes in my way of field. They definitely can go hand in hand. Only thing is you just need to divide your time and focus.
Even if you see, never we imagined it's going to be like this, but technology has become the major part of music now. So, to
Yeah.
keep you up to date with the present era, whether your engineering is, and that engineering mind maybe more than what you studied those days, the engineering mind may be helping you out.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I said. You know, you always it's easier to much easier to understand these newer gadgets or newer softwares that are coming in, and even during these lockdown periods when people used to ask us for online performances, we ended up buying a few gadgets, thereby making our concerts even from our home in a completely stereophone put with a well balanced studio kind of a recording, even in live Facebook lives or social media live concerts. I had many musicians call me and asking how are you managing to do it, because we struggle to do that. So all that happened because of my engineering background.
Okay. Pravinji, there's one more question that is from Bhargav from Gulbarga. This is little not related to your life. He is asking about a raga and about music. So let's take that also. Bhargav is telling, I'm learning flute. Rag Durga is going on at present. I have problems of making patterns of both alap and tans of cheese and antra. How I
Mm.
should understand the raga and how I should express it, or how I should play the raga, how I should focus to understand the raga. So lots of hows are there. So
Lots
maybe,
of house.
yeah.
Yeah, most importantly, you need to study under a guru for a longer time to understand the basics of classical ragas. Having said that, you should be open to lot of different concerts, vocal, instrumental, and especially the raga Durga that you have mentioned. Bhimsenji, there are many recordings of Bhimsenji which will give you ideas how they have dealt with Durga. There are several recordings that you can listen to, and then I used to do that. I used to listen to various musicians and then try to bring out the essence of those improvisations on my flute, thereby creating my own patterns based on what I had heard.
Mm.
So that is one way of looking at ragas. But then you also try to understand the theory part of the raga, the Vadi, Samvadi, and the Nyasaswar. the swars on which you can sustain, which you shouldn't sustain, if there are any and all that. So there's a lot of grammar behind a raga, and
Yes.
ultimate thing is the bhava. Are you able to achieve to get the bhava that is supposed to be evoked by
Yeah.
performing that?
For those who
So
have
you need all of
not understood about what Bhargav is talking about Rag Durga, can you just play a small bit of that?
yes.
Uh, so as we were talking, we know that everybody accepted Pravin Godkhindi as a child. At the age of 6, you performed. Everybody used to love you when you in your childhood or in your youth or now as a grown-up adult. So everybody loves you. But is there any because challenges, they say that challenges are always there in life. Was it like you, for everything came as gift of God and nothing was difficulty, or in life you have not seen any kind of difficulty, whether you have faced any kind of challenges, failures, or at least any down moments?
Yes, yes. There were several down moments right from my youth, and especially when I had never been to Bangalore before. So the day I wrote my last exam in engineering, I just took the night bus. I had 800 rupees in my wallet and 8 flutes with me. Just with that, I came to Bangalore, and I didn't know any godfather to say, so to say. All I knew were a few arrangers who used to work in studios for these Bhavgite, Bhakti Gite cassettes and all that. So luckily for me, since I had a Hindustani background back then in '95, when I landed in Bangalore, there was a requirement for Hindustani-based flute artists in the recording studios uh, to play for films, to play for these albums, Bhakti Gite, Bhavgite, and all that. So I immediately got sucked into that environment, studio mode. I had this experience of writing notes, and I was always a fan of light music. So I used to play a little bit of harmonium. I used to sing. I used to compose. So I had work I had done to be a light musician accompanist. So, but then challenges were how will I still make a mark as a individual person, as a flautist. So I got sucked into it, and then 30 days in a month I used to be in the studios since 7 a.m. till 9 p.m., sometimes 12, 3 in the morning. So jump from this studio to that studio, playing different tracks and all that. So completely immersed for almost 5 years. I was completely into recording. I graduated, I started composing. So during those times, there was always a question mark: how long will I do this?
Yeah.
because there are so many other flutists were there. And it was like a factory, we were just churning songs. And they were performances. But then that's when I came up with you know opportunities where I had to play with a Carnatic musician. Uh, that was a real, a couple of occasions when I was performing, I didn't have answers for whatever they used to play. And I used to look at my tabla player, and now what do I answer to this long mudra that they played and all that intricate. And God was really kind. He introduced me to my
Yeah, yeah,
mridangam
definitely. I wanted to ask
Manoj.
about Shivu sir also. Yeah,
Yeah,
Pandit
yeah,
Vidwan Ananta Krishna Sharma ji, a great
yeah,
percussionist. So I
yeah.
wanted to ask you what made you to go to him because but you answered.
That was Yeah, so because I didn't have a clue on the stage, what would I do? They used to the Carnatic music. Okay, the ala portion Hindustani we used to do. We used to elaborate the raga and all that. But once the rhythm starts, they had their own easy calculations, and it would I would feel that they have been practicing together for like 20
Hmm.
years, because whatever the main artist plays, the ghatam artist or the mridangam artist would just join them.
Hmm.
But the same thing wouldn't happen with me and the tabla.
Hmm.
So that's when I said, no, no, no. If I have to understand this art of being
Yeah.
spontaneous, creating patterns, rhythmic patterns on the spot, then I have to learn the science behind it.
Hmm.
So then I went to sir, and he started
And maybe at
teaching
this
me on
this
the.
moment we can tell that, as we said, nepotism won't work on stage. Once
No, it doesn't.
once you are on stage, it is you, it's your character, and what you know about music. That will matter and nothing else. Whose son you are, whose father
Absolutely
you are, all become zero. Yeah.
doesn't help that way. And the other challenge that I faced was, when I decided to do these fusion albums
Mm.
based on old film songs.
Okay.
My idea clearly was not to play the film songs as it
Mm.
is, just to give a glimpse of a song that is based on this raga, thereby educating the general masses that the songs that you've been listening to like so many decades, they belong to this raga.
Mm.
So if you enjoy that song, then that's a good thing. But if if you upgrade yourself and start enjoying the raga itself,
Mm.
then your happiness is multifold.
Mm.
And that really worked. All my albums were sold out, and they became a huge success story. And thereby I started finding a new set of audience coming to listen to my classical music
Mm.
concerts. So but then when I started, I had a lot of people saying, hey, oh, what is this? Why did you have to mix that genre into this? That is, you're diluting classical music.
Mm.
Uh, there were so many other opinions. But then I stood my ground, because I knew what I had done was never tamper with the ragas. Even today, whenever I perform my
Mm.
fusion, if I say rag bhoop, it is that entire piece is in bhoop. Everybody on the stage is in the bhoop mode,
Okay.
even the chords and everything. So that
Yeah.
is something that I try to
Yeah.
keep
And
in
let's
mind
not.
always.
Yeah.
So I
So tell us your experience. We stopped in between about your class in the Carnatic percussion. When you were introduced, when you went to Shivu sir, what was that? How you felt and how you started learning it? What was your experience during that time?
as I said, most of the teachings, though I was not a regular student at his house, I used to go a few times, but most of the times he also was a recording session musician. So
Mm.
we used to meet in the studios, and lot of teachings used to happen during those
Mm.
recordings. And also he used to take me for concerts of his students, and where he formed a band called Ganga Kaveri, where I would play the Hindustani flute, and my another esteemed colleague, Vidwan M.K. Pranesh ji, would play on the
Mm.
Carnatic flute. So he made certain compositions which were apt for both the styles. And I started understanding the importance of creating rhythmic patterns, and then putting them in my Hindustani solo concerts as well, including those part. But Shiv, I should be grateful to Shiv sir, because he always said melody should be
Yeah.
important. Whatever rhythmic
Yeah.
patterns you do, it should not supersede your melody.
Overpower melody,
Yeah,
because at the end it is the bhava,
yeah,
because people like to listen from you music. It's not just about the
yeah,
calculation, it's not just maths.
correct. So it should be a
Yeah.
right blend. So I was lucky, because I had a very upbringing because of my father and guru, and then I had a very strong rhythmic upbringing because of my Shivu sir, because of him. So I'm just trying to blend them. There were to record what he's saying and write it and sit in my home in my class trying to decode each and everything, because it was new to me, the Tishra Jati and the Khanda, the Mishra and all those calculations. They were really mind
Mm.
boggling. But luckily for me, since I had that Laya background, I was a tabla player during my initial days, I had an ear for
Mm.
rhythm.
Mm.
So it was easy for me to grasp, but I still feel humbly, I admit it wholeheartedly that I am nowhere close to what a professional mridangam artist would do in a Carnatic concert. I
Mm.
know only a few aspects of it, but I have tried to understand the basics of Carnatic Laikari.
Okay, Pravinji, people usually say kosha because when you really, so the learning is one part, that is kosha odu, odi aito. So desha suto, you have traveled a lot all around the world. Every year you give world tour. So what is that you learn from this tour? Because people say that when you travel, you have lots of learning for life. So what is that you learn for life? Because more than I understanding what is the difference between your concert there, since it is the educational program, I usually go along with the study what we learn in life. So what is that you learn in life due to your travel?
One thing that I've learned is that um, I'm only a small speck, a very small drop of water in this huge ocean of music. Um, when I began, when I started, there were times when I used to think that I have arrived. I
Hmm.
am there. But gradually started touring, meeting different kinds of people, listening to different concerts, different musicians, interacting with them, working with them. That feeling, it gradually went and it has become so much small now. Now I feel that, it's still a long way. So that is one thing that the traveling has taught me. And you have to have
Hmm.
hell lot of patience to travel around the world, and you have to be very very um, generous and kind hearted, because that is what you get back.
Hmm.
How you deal with people is what you eventually get back. So being calculative, being professional is one aspect to it, but being kind and being generous is the
Hmm.
other facet, which I'm truly honored. All these qualities were ingrained in me because of the two gurus and my mother, my even my wife, because she always helps me keeps me grounded. She doesn't. Yeah, it's like, yeah, okay, you play the flute, yeah, you're good at, I can understand, but that's okay.
Okay.
So that such people around, even my in-laws, they all
Usually they say
love
that
me,
wives
they
are the best
admire me.
criticizers. They say that
Yes,
wives are the
yes,
best criticizers of life.
yes, yes. So she helps me decide, so many things, and
Yeah.
that's that helps me being grounded. And there are many times, when even as musician, even in my profession, there are downfalls, down dull moments. So that is the time when she's there, rock solid to support me. So
Okay.
yeah, but this traveling has really opened new avenues about life, and especially the last year, you know, that was totally a complete new, new lease of life to our thinking about not only about music but about our life and our existence altogether.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. As you were talking about your wife, also great lady Sarika. Met her so many times, and I've seen her. She was actually play artist, theater artist. She used to. So I got opportunity even to see her on the stage. You
Mhm.
being a celebrity artist, it's not that easy. So how did you manage your professional life as well as family life? Because people say that time is a big factor, because only 24 hours and we yet want to achieve a lot in this. So how did you manage your professional life and family life?
It was always because she's also into creative field. Um, but as I said, both our families were very supportive. And in fact, at one point of time, where when I was at my in the studio and when I was performing with these orchestras and sometimes with Subramaniam, and then I was doing my own show called Ragaranjini, and then there was a lot of abroad tours happening. I never used to spend time with Shadaj during his childhood
Hmm.
days. I was most of the times I was traveling, and Sarika was also sometimes busy with theater. So he almost grew up with my dad and my mom.
Grandfather, yeah.
So blessing because he could spend a lot. He could learn a lot of things from my father directly.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then after a while, after all that touring and everything happened, back in 2014, we both me and Sarika decided that we need to have another child. Because we wanted
Yeah.
to enjoy the
Mm.
parenthood again. So then God was kind to, He blessed us with Surili.
Yeah.
So now she's years old and she's stepping into the eighth
Oh.
year. And so now I have a lot of time. I have my own studio. I can work at my leisure. I can take up projects that I want to. So that will help me survive. And then classical music teaching, performance is always are there. And that mad rush is not there now.
Mm.
What was there at 15, 20 years ago, because that at that point of time survival was the key issue. Now being established, I have my own space, and I have my own choice whether I want to do such things or not do. And so that way I've been able to manage both professional and personal lives.
Yeah, actually, we are running short of time. Even then, I like to take another one or two question if you permit me.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Say, majority of the youth, they can't get associated with the classical music. So many of them even can't understand which is good music or which is the noise. I won't say bad music, because there is nothing called as bad music. They say at the end it is all music. So which is good music and which is noise? See, they can't understand some of them about that also. So how does one can develop taste for good music?
The best way is to ideally listen to music that doesn't have lot of um, percussion and has um, peace or serenity in it. So if you start listening to classical music, classical ragas, um, you'll I'm sure everybody will have that one frequency in their body which resonates on a particular raga or for a particular instrument or for a particular artist. As far as classical ragas is concerned, that is what I always propagate. You just listen to various ragas, various artists, fix a time in your schedule and try to listen. Give it a shot. Give it at least, I would say, at a stretch 1 week. 7 days you listen to different ragas, 15 to 20 minutes or half an hour, and then you compare that the energy that you get from those that kind of music with any other music that you regularly listen to, be it Bollywood, be it, you will know the difference. The positivity, the energy that comes out of listening to these peaceful ragas it will elevate you to a different, altogether a different level.
Mm.
Who constantly listen to my flute on their headphone while they are working difficult problems, and they say that it really helps concentrate and memorize. So
Okay.
I'm not saying you should listen to my music only, but classical ragas definitely help. They have helped me. I used to listen to a lot of Amir Khan Sahab, a lot of Kishori Tai or Bhimsen Ji that used to run my engineering stuff. So it definitely stays. And the other important aspect I would say that science and music, they go hand in hand. If there's a good wonderful scientist, if has an exceptional brain which can work for the science, it can definitely work for music as well, because there are a lot of common things, the thread. So this is also an answer to the question that you had asked earlier, that
Mm.
when the students come to me, they say the
Correct.
workload is more and the music takes a
Yeah.
backseat. No, actually they go hand in hand. If you practice music well, then your engineering subjects become much easier to memorize and remember.
Yeah, so that was wonderful, but definitely we need to close here, but we cannot close this session without listening to you again. So, as a
Sure.
last one, for all of us, you can play something.
Okay, I'll play a small tune in Pahadi.
Oh, that was beautiful. You made our day. So thank you so much for being here. So hope to see you once again in the campus. We'll be waiting for you to
Sure.
meet physically. So
Yeah, my pleasure, and thanks for inviting me. And I would take this opportunity to mention about Sri Narendra Nayak ji and yourself. You also have been part of, from my initial days. Narendra Nayak ji has been of great support, not only to me but many budding musicians. He has supported classical music, so I owe you a lot, you and Narendra Naik ji, and especially and this EduPath that you have been doing this series. This is also a wonderful initiative. So I am thankful to both of you, and once again, thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, dear viewers, on the next episode, our guest will be Dr. K. Rajesh Nayak, Director Training at a College of Banking and Financial Services, Muscat, Oman. So, next week we'll be meeting Dr. Rajesh Nayak directly through Oman. So, till then, take care. Bye bye.